Okay, so hey guys, Steven here with Armed Culture. I got an interesting one here. This one's actually going to court right now. This one happened back in 2021, but it's finally going to court. Fair and speedy, I know, fair and speedy trial. But this one here is putting Connecticut's laws of self-defense under scrutiny. I did look a little bit into Connecticut's self-defense law, and I'll kind of get into that as we get to the next part of the story. I want to read a little bit about the court case that's coming up, and then we'll go to the what happened, partially due to some witness opinions in this case. So, a lawyer is on trial for a fatal shooting, putting self-defense under scrutiny. Now, right there, I kind of course, not all lawyers are great, not all lawyers are perfect. But you would imagine a lawyer in the state of Connecticut might know a little bit about his options when it comes to self defense, especially depending on the lawyer that he is. But let's dive in here. So, the trial of a 78-year-old lawyer fatally shot a man outside his law office about to start in Connecticut. The jury selection began on Wednesday in the trial of Robert Fisher Jr., who claims he acted in self-defense when Matthew Bromley, 39, confronted him outside the law office in Lichtenfield, Connecticut. So right there, I mean, there's obviously an age discrepancy. I mean, that doesn't just allow you to shoot somebody, but the age discrepancy is there, especially with kind of what happens later. Oh, well, during, or I guess before, during the altercation. Why it matters, this case could test the limits of self-defense argument as Fisher shot a man who allegedly attacked him. Uh, Newsweek saw comment from Bromley's family and lawyer representing Fisher. What we know, Fisher is charged with first-degree manslaughter with a firearm, which carries a sentence of up to 40 years, which would put him well into the grave. He is currently free on a $50,000 bond. Fisher accepted that he fatally shot Bromley on June 7th of 2021, but says he did so after Bromley assaulted him. Here's the man. The autopsy report shows Bromley died of a single gunshot wound to the head. Defense will allege that in the days before the shooting, Bromley called Fisher to discuss a property case, and Fisher declined to take the case, allegedly leaving Bromley aggravated. The defense will also say that Fisher's 9/11 call, when he explained that Bromley was waiting for him, opened Fisher's door and assaulted him before Fisher even reached for his gun. Fisher claims he showed the gun. Bromley then shot him only when Bromley lunged for the gun. Versions of the events are disputed by some witnesses in the case and test the jury's interpretation of Connecticut's self-defense laws. They do state in the self-defense laws that you must use reasonable force. You also have a duty to retreat. You do have castle doctrine in Connecticut. Now, he was in his car, not in his house, though personally, your car is kind of a deadly coffin when it comes to attacks at any. I mean, you're kind of stuck in a small little confined space. I think castle doctrine should definitely be looked at in the idea of your car, personally, just because I do know how deadly that specific spot of being in your car, unable to get out while somebody's. I mean, if Fisher's correct in his case, in his statement, he opened the door and was immediately assaulting him from the door. So, Connecticut-based attorney Kellen Kerwick told Newsletter that Fisher legally owned the firearm that were confiscated at the shooting, and that the pretrial court has placed only light restrictions on him. Toxicology reports showed that Bromley's blood alcohol level at the time of the death was 0.111%, higher than Connecticut's 0.08% level of drunk driving. I'm not sure if he necessarily drove to the law firm, so interesting that they brought up the drunk driving, but he is higher than that. what people are saying. Connecticut's based attorney Colleen Carrick told Newsweek the defense lawyer William had already achieved Fisher's release of the $50,000 bond, maintained Fisher's license to practice law, and maintained his client's possession of his law firm. He said that the judge may emphasize the 78-year-old member of the bar for the first offense as his first offense. As the justice is supposed to be blind, I hope that he achieves the exact same justice as any else would receive in similar circumstances. I agree with that last point, that he does receive the same justice that other people would receive in similar circumstances. Given the circumstances that we'll read later, I hope it's positive self-defense, personally. What happens next after the jury selection on February 19th and possibly February 20th? The trial is expected for March 3rd. So the trial just keeps going out further and further. Again, this happened in 2021. So a Litchfield lawyer, and this is going to be like kind of actually what happened. Litchfield lawyer claims self-defense in trial in fatal shooting of a man outside his office in 2021. Turrington, a lawyer, claims that he acted in self-defense in the fatal shooting of a man who confronted him in the parking lot of his firm at Litchfield office. Is scheduled to go to trial next year with jury selection starting February 19th. Of course, this already happened. Robert L. Fisher Jr., age 78, who has listed his address of Eastern Higherdale Drive on Goshen, has acknowledged that he fatally shot Matthew James Bromley, 39, around 4:45 p.m. on June 7, 2021, according to an affidavit by police statement Detective Luke Tufano. The defense will definitely be self-defense. The state attorney's David R. Sharon, who is prosecuting the case at the state superior court, and cannot comment beyond that. Fisher's lawyer, William A. Conti, said that Fisher believes he is innocent, and yes, it will be a claim of self-defense. So they're already kind of like pre-loading up to the trial. So Judge Earl Day Prescott will preside over the course. Fisher is charged with first-degree manslaughter with a firearm, which carries a sentence of 40 years. He's already posted his bond. So they attempted to reach out to Bromley's two sons and brother and one of his sisters via Facebook Messenger. Nobody reached out. Fisher said that that in a 911 call immediately after the incident, that a man later identified as Bromley had followed him out to the driveway, opened Fisher's car door, and punched him in the face and threatened to kill him, Tufano reported. Fisher said later on the day the incident that he wanted a lawyer present, and state police did not question him, the detective reported. Smart man, he's a lawyer, of course. Facial injuries, the sergeant noted that at the time that Fisher had blood and red skin on the left side of his face, detective said, which I think is important with what Fisher said happens. A month later, Fisher provided police with a written sworn statement through his lawyer. He said that he was driving from Washington, Connecticut office of the Kramer and Anderson law firm, in which he is a partner to the firm's office in West Street, Linchester Field on the afternoon of June 7th, 2021, when he noticed a car staying behind him, the detective reported. Fisher said the car did not honk, try to pass him, make contact with him, but did turn into the driveway of Lichtenfield office, very close behind his rear bumper. The detectives continued. Fisher stated that he parked, the other car parked next to him, and the driver got out, ran around the rear of his car, and pulled Fisher's partly open door fully open and started punching him in the left side of the face, causing him to see stars at the moment, the detective reported. So he's getting punched in the left side of his face, consistent with what the sergeant noted on Fisher, that he had blood and red on the left side of his face. Fisher said the man, later identified as Bromley, spat in his face, called him obscene names, and told him that he was going to end him because he had ruined his life, and that I would burn in hell forever, the detectives reported. Kind of getting, seems like a heated moment at the moment. His face was totally angry, enraged, and seemed crazy to me, Fisher wrote. According to the detectives, I immediately became fearful for my safety and my life and knew that I needed to defend myself. So, of course, he's like teeing up the I feared for my life statement. Fisher said that he kicked and pushed Bromley, moving him backwards to the point where Fisher was able to get out of his car, detectives reported. So, personally, I think he's actually trying to uphold the reasonable force. So, you see, instead of just immediately going for his gun when he gets punched in the face, he pushes and he kicks and he gets Bromley away from him. But Fisher goes on to say there was no way to retreat. Fisher said he stood facing Bromley separately by only a few feet in the space between his two cars, with no way to retreat or escape safely. So as Bromley continued to yell and yell the things he had said before, according to the detective. So Fisher pulls in, Bromley pulls in, Fisher starts opening his door, Bromley runs around and is blocking Fisher with his car door. I would say that's honestly probably fairly accurate. Of course, you could probably throw the door shut and run the other way. But if Bromley's blocking the rear exit away from the car because the car door's open, I would say the plausible ability to retreat has kind of disappeared a little bit. Fisher said that he yelled back, "Who are you? And how did I ruin your life?" but got no answer, as Bromley kept yelling the same things. Then charged at him, spat in his face a second time, possibly hitting him in the chest a couple of times, the detective reported. Fisher says he managed to push Bromley back with his hands after the charge and another one, according to detectives. So, as long as Fisher's story is actually correct, factual, Bromley's actually come at him now 3 times. He's tried to de-escalate the situation 3 separate times. I did not try to punch him, Fisher wrote, according to the detectives. I just kept trying to calm him down and diffuse the situation. I'm nearly 75-year-old with physical limitations and feared he was going to knock me on the ground, leaving me completely helpless, the detectives quoted Fisher as saying in this statement. So, of course, fallen, he's 75, almost. If he fell, that could, 1, hurt him. 2, it would leave him with a lower ability to be able to push away. So, of course, he would be fearing for his life. Fisher said that he drew his gun, pointed at Bromley's chest, and shouted, "Back off." But Bromley charged him again and grabbed his right forearm, which held the gun, according to detectives. After a brief struggle over the gun, I shot him, detectives quoted Fisher stating. So, based off of Fisher's story, I'm inclined to say that that's plausible self-defense, in my opinion, of course. And reading into Connecticut's law, where he has a duty to retreat and use of reasonable force, he has tried pushing back, he has tried hitting back, he has tried diffusing the situation, but for a 4th time, Bromley has lunged at him and then grabbed the arm with the gun. I don't see too much to complain about there. Now, we did talk about witnesses disputing that evidence, so let's get into what that is. So, accounts have been disputed, as a trooper quoted 2 witnesses as disputing Fisher's version of the crucial final moments of the confrontation. So, they're not really, that's just the crucial final moments. They're not really disputing the fact that Fisher's being attacked. The younger male never attempted to take the gun from the older male because his hands were at his side when he shot, the trooper quoted one witness is saying in a police statement. The witness continued to say that he did not believe that this is self-defense because the younger male did not have a weapon. Personally, I don't care about that. The dude is 74 and he's getting hit by a younger man who has come and attacked him and assaulted him in his car. I don't see why a weapon is necessary. Fists are weapons. The trooper reported, I think the older male could have punched the other guy and settled it that way rather than shooting him. It just doesn't seem like that was very violent of an attack. He's agreeing that he got attacked. It's an older man, like he's 74. The attack looked like he was like a wrestling match because the older male was defending himself pretty well from the punches. Yeah, I mean, he pushed him back 3 times, and then he continued to come at him. Another witness said, with the help of a Spanish language interpreter, that the only fighting between the 2 men occurred when Fisher was in his car, adding that before the shooting, the 2 men were yelling and arguing, the trooper reported. Okay, so that one is a little bit where I think there might be a small bit of caveat there. So if indeed he only did get punched a couple of times in the car, and when they got out it was just yelling, and Bromley never continued the assault, okay, maybe it's not self-defense there. But if the other man's account, the other witness's account of Bromley continuing the assault and Fisher continuing to fight back is true, then I think it's self-defense. So I honestly think those 2 witnesses kind of contradict each other a little bit. Not to mention there's 2 cars parked next to each other blocking views. The trooper quoted the paralegal and the family friend of Fisher as saying that Bromley was not a client of the firm, but he said that Bromley had called the law office sometime around last week of May 21st, and 2001, sorry. He said that he overheard Fisher telling him that he did not do foreclosure and elevated his voice at one point, according to the trooper. The trooper reported that the toxicology, and we got into that, it's about his blood alcohol level, also about his gunshot wound. So that's a little bit about like what the witnesses are countering on. They're saying that it doesn't look like reasonable self-defense because he was fighting back pretty well. But it's a 38-year-old man assaulting a 74-year-old man in his car. Like, he was trapped in his car and trapped between his car and the attacker's car. So I struggle to call this anything but a plausible self-defense in the fact that this man's being assaulted. Over what? I wouldn't take your case. There's probably a ton of other lawyers in Connecticut that he could have gone to seek similar legal counsel. But that is what it is. He did make that split decision in his life to attack an elderly man over work. I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are. Get into those comments. Let me know, do you think this is positive self-defense, or do you think maybe Fisher was in the wrong? Let me know what your thoughts are. If you found value at this, if you could hit that like button, that would help me out a lot. And if you find that you want to hear more stories about self-defense related to the Second Amendment, please hit that subscribe button. My name's Steven with Armed Culture, and I'll see you in the next video.